So here we are again at Greenkill for another outing of the Station Hill Intermedia Project. My name is Michael Ruby, and I'm here to introduce Falltyme. This performance, like others in the series, is based on a work of literature entitled Falltyme, with the I instead of Y, written by Sam Truitt and published by Duckling Presse. Joining him on stage to read that text is Kimber Truitt and the fabulous Bill Weeden. The sound field is under the remarkably uplifting plow of Frederico Balducci, in complement with the soundtrack of the film by Richard Kroehling you will see behind the players. To note, Richard's film is a standalone artwork of film poetry based on some phrases from the text of Falltyme, which Kroehling looks forward to producing in a final form. It's in an altered, abstracted form here today. David Schell, our host at Greenkill, is manning the soundboard and filming. He is the man behind everything we do here, and a testament to what is possible when a person is willing to plant an idea and nourish it and bring people together to enjoy its fruiting. There is another player whom you cannot see or hear or feel, and yet is everywhere in what will happen tonight in the minting of this composition. That player is named Chance, as each of these artists, having brought to this work what they each have to contribute, has never interacted with the totality between them until now, in real time, before your very eyes and ears, and without rehearsal, premeditation, or intention past whatever happens, which includes you now. To provide a little sense of this work's origin, here's a short description of the book Falltyme from Sam Truitt. From 1995 through 2000, I made 4 trips to France, both to Paris and Bourges, as well as various points between, including Chartres. On the first 3 trips, I received various impressions, which I worked into a marginally unsuccessful long poem. On my last trip to Paris, compassing some 4 nights in the fall of 2000, I variously recorded my direct impressions on tape and in a notebook. At that point, I decided that the best thing would be to take all these streams of valuable experience and impression and yoke them together, employing typography as a synthesizing structure. I composed this book in the winter of 2000. Please numb your phones now, and without further preamble, open now your sensorium and let the good times roll.
study the rose that clouds over Christendom.
Think that you know better.
Perhaps, and as it were once you enter a new country, it is necessary to lose something.
You enter
pervading through visions.
It is necessary to lose something.
International Cafe Iceland, thick glass, a diesel double decal, denim jacket in Europe. Again, the mild and more naked radical, for once reality of being American.
All about the lost little book, as under every fortune is buried crime. Where you get into trouble is taking something that has been buried for a long time and bringing it to the surface, suddenly create imbalance. Two Tuborgs in thick glass-encased bar, everything appearing in triangles. Facets of
even people are trying.
And women look back at you here at the International Cafe in Europe's Iceland, in the North Atlantic, crane to see who you are, and dress in the still some cultural distinction differently from back home, and a lot of leather, as befits a formerly cattle-nurtured people, facing beer spigots, tough, indigent creatures, maybe still a little free, the tough shapes of triangles, and mostly browns, not black, blend in with the land, shadow of a hunchback, recently naked, as we all were recently so.
watch and write and drink and read, and suddenly realize there is no music, no mindless rapid gurdy, just the sound of glasses and glances against metal and mental and voices and darkness outside the thick glass where the planes wait on the tarmac as we wait on the platform form in the warmth, possibly geothermal.
With fishing a primary industry here, second only to tourism, the whole population afloat on lava and the cheap heating derived once the infrastructure was sunk.
And across the universe
of the people fish, the rest
is
debate,
night,
scrounge,
like most of what
cater
we
to
know,
tourists, drink to board, and
objects.
maintain the highest standard
What
of living
else
in Europe.
can we call them?
It is 5:40 a.m. and the beer is cold, and there are a lot of people drinking and talking, waiting for flights. Nobody is singing because they are part of the song. I wonder if I think I wrote it, as the song I do is one unaccompanied by music, but what you bring, breathing back what was there all along. Sit and look, listen to your body hum.
I don't understand the language, but it is nice to hear, to be alone, picking bits of goose down out of my hair. Dawn.
Over Iceland.
Like nobody's
Business.
We are riding into that sun.
What exactly
Does it do?
Love is possible still.
for a gifted
Few.
As Charles de Gaulle is an airport, so Christ an airplane.
like Jonathan Richmond without his shirt on.
Americans are full of money and condoms.
The land is old and miniature, like an architect's scale model.
You can't help jerking your legs up or the sense of walking barefoot across as the mower sweeps below. But why can't we screw on the fresh-cut lawn, dreaming of snakes?
Making money appear and disappear like a rabbit, reaching a hand into every pocket. Near my groin, what did Spicer say? Or Boyce, the hair below the level of knowledge, is knowledge sitting very still on the Rue d'Arcade in the French Schmada district, drinking beer this late afternoon like a swell, not listening to the reggae music playing everything open and brightly lit, head full of cotton, soaked in alcohol, swabbing some wound, and the dishwasher sitting beside me, talking to a man in a motorcycle jacket like he is a thug, a French thug, probably rides a moped.
All the chairs out front turn towards the street on a slant, like Dickinson, as though the traffic were worth respiring or... But really it is the auditors themselves become the dragon, become a sun, and Flo next door checking out the cafe where we will have her family, 18 people toto, realizing this is a gay bar and that the dishwasher is making a pass at me. The shaved head seems to be in Paris, reminding me of the movie Diva, and seeing it with Misha in Washington, and later listening to the soundtrack variously through life, popping up usually while driving.
Slender trees of Paris, Narget shot and turned into structure. The outdoor racks of magazines, each door and each robing and disrobing. Beautiful people that hold a moment without animation. Or on the television, with it split through our lives, to disappear into mansions under the red and white striped awning of the kiosk with other commercial products.
Redundancies, echoes, the snake slough skins from microbe to magus, petals plastered to the garden wall.
And there it is, the siren, like a seesaw going out and back. In a war movie, maybe The Third Man, Wells's shadow on the wall, Gray Day in Paris as our most. It is all okay. A woman in black leather jacket walks by, cheeks full of something she is eating.
Rasta fuck all, says the bartender. And of course he is right. The sentiment, fuck all, to be in a constant pervasive state of intercourse, work from that knowledge, sex, and the knowledge that is beyond sex, which is one, and the one, which is beyond knowledge, which is sex-pervading all, that is not sex per se, but what it is, an advent of knowledge.
The brasserie bow finger like a broken finger stepping into Proust, what is hanging over us, and the naked woman holding open a book downstairs by the bathroom, or now the crane holding forth an enormous body of flowers in its beak, and the complete assimilation of time remains so a mystery to me, more than in the beginning, when screws were grooved to turn
light,
clockwise in our
but there
heads.
is no light, and I cannot
Flo
see
is
or
rummaging
feel
wonderfully
forward,
through her bag.
passing
And there
not
are
out
these lights
and
to
in,
this place,
and hear the
at
clerk
each
of
crevice
the closed
lightly that
store
burn,
advising
seen
me
and
to
unseen,
at the edge,
as they did
like
in the
a line.
beginning,
But I know
when
it
the
is as
screws
though we
were
were
grooved
here before.
to turn clockwise.
It was all cemented,
And it is
as all
all in our
experience
heads.
must to be moistened to the wall, or to put it another way. I have a question. They're all dead on Wuthering
But
Heights.
why write
Now,
about
so
the
what
past
story
after
is going to go
Proust?
on?
We ordered and subsequently ate
Breathing back
oysters,
what was
champagne,
there all along.
wine, the folded
Sit and
intestines
listen
of
to
a
your
pig
body hum.
tucked
The
into a
white
tube of
out-
intestine
The wiped
and
out
coffee.
pigeon
Pigeon
corpse mashed
into
into
the
the
road.
road.
Nothing is real, and yet one has this sneaking suspicion love is all that is.
Flo has a jade-shaped, beautiful head, and out of it right now comes these words, I think I should sleep. But the truth is, when will we awake? Be real. It remains mostly distraction.
Once in your life, you should go to such a place, hold with such a face, a few broken minutes, a fleeting glancehood. But to search
Sit
is
and
to
listen
destroy,
your body hum.
as the plot thickens.
Don't
I
understand
started
this
to wear these
language,
undershirts,
but it's
and I'm
nice to
always
hear,
hot.
to be along, picking bits of
I'm
goose
lying
down
in
out
a
of my
bath
hair.
at the Hotel de Marais between two time streams like Jim Morrison, but not juiced. Just reading Henry
waiting.
James on New York and trying not to let this book drop. I hear flow, stir.
The aspect
It's
the power
5:30
wears
a.m.
then is
in
indescribable.
Paris, and I don't know
It is the power
what it
of the
is
most
for me.
extravagant of cities,
I like
rejoicing
this
as with the
Jamesian
voice of
passage.
the morning in its might,
Still,
its fortune,
love
its
is still
unsurpassable
possible
conditions,
for a
and
gifted
imparting to
few.
every object and element to the motion and
Charles
expression
de
of
Gaulle
every floating,
is an
hurrying,
airport,
panting
so Christ
thing,
an
to the
airplane,
throb of ferries and tugs,
Jonathan
to the plash of
Richmond,
waves and the
without
play of
his
winds
shirt
and the glint of lights,
Barrett's
Americans
shrill of
baffling
whistles,
questions. I guess
and
you
the
have to
quality
say
and
Ted.
authority of
Now, since his
peace-born
son
pride,
has taken up
all
miniature,
practically a
like an
diffused,
architect's
wasted
scale
clamor of
model.
detonations.
You
The
can't
woman on the
help
train,
jerking
her
your legs
blonde,
up
wavy
with the
hair
sense
pulled
of
back, her
walking barefoot.
lavender eyeshadow, the cheapness of her black
You
suit
lean
and brown,
into
white,
an
and
ungiving
tan
darkness,
striped shirt,
like the
and
walls
her
of a
ring
dime
and
store
earrings
womb.
also, and scuffed white patent leather bag as the scuffed suburbs of Paris scroll past. Not
What
much money
exactly
there, which
does
the
it
effort
do?
and the power of the effect made supreme, and the involuntary
What
force of
exactly
that 20
does it
minutes into
do?
Paris, where I could not open my eyes, or I would see her, she was very pretty, where the two veins came
You lean
together
into an
at her
unconvinced darkness
left
like the
temple,
walls of a dime store
wanting
womb.
to touch
What
that
exactly
place.
does it
And
do?
when leaving the train, did so together, so her breasts mashed, sandwiched by my spinal column.
But why write about the Holocaust
Words
after
are
Proust?
lesions between the observer and the observed.
When you go to Paris, and if you find yourself in the Marais, passing east on Rue de Marché, de Blanc-Manteau, where it joins Rue de Rosier, where there is a Kabbalah shop,
And across the
And you are-
universe
But you
is
bring
night,
everything back,
like
back.
most of what we
They're all
know.
Sit, listen.
The rains of France fall faultlessly.
The houseflies' bug eyes glued to the ceiling. If you stretch the mind, it
Stretch
becomes
the
in
mind
bits,
becomes
stately.
through
Though
brittle
brittle.
frames extend
Blast furnace.
on the
over
In the heart, all the roofs
in bits.
are glasses.
every 10,000 years there comes a reversal.
And her ramparts also.
Heads of the fathers,
Hungry. Go sons
And you are
to Joe Goldenberg's. Because you will find on the wall
And
an
you are
enormous reproduction of the Temple of Solomon.
objects.
We are riding into that
What
sun.
else can
What exactly
we call them?
does it do?
Explode. The bells,
The bells of Paris sound underwater. It is noon, and the world is underwater. Lines hang down from the sky, so I am a marionette, and my handwriting is underwater. You can hardly read it, but that does not mean I could step
Love is
out
still
level
possible.
with the tops of
buildings
buildings float
Few.
like
The
Marguerite
woman on the
with a
train,
life preserver
blonde,
from
wavy
the ship
hair,
Normandy.
But
or
what
with
if
her
they are
friend,
dead?
her legs
Toy
dangling over a
toes
pool
touching
of
the
sun-bright
tip of the
water,
Eiffel Tower.
reflecting on her inn.
My eyes.
The bells of Paris that sound underwater, muted, as though heard through a seashell. In the dream of money, smoke is sucked through a turbine.
Anything above the heart
It's difficult.
Anything below the heart.
is difficult.
In France, to make a phone call, you need a phone
Land is
card
old
and somebody to
miniature,
call.
like an
Climb into a glass-in
architect's
booth
scale
and become
model.
an exhibition. If you want to
can't
see the
help
whole of
jerking
Paris,
your
go to the
legs
top
up
of the
with
pumping
the
Each
center.
of
with a
walking
distilled
And you will see how the
across
churches pop up
essence
above the
pressed
chimneys
into
like
it,
upside-down flower pots.
thumb size.
Philip
purple
Gustard's show
Arctic
is
flowers.
fresh
here,
lawn.
retrospective, and ochre painting,
Here
1951,
is the night.
is maybe my favorite painting.
Here, the
in
sounds
which you
of
see the
pinball.
thing being born, which is always a
Machines
mess,
at 7-Eleven.
and then he moved on, doing paintings with a crater that seemed like interesting, and
The
they
way
leave
was
you
dark.
someplace to go, but nowhere to leave.
way was dark
but
and
nevertheless
dirty.
full
Still.
and funky
Still, love is
With
and
still
love
direct
letters.
shot
Still
to
the
possible.
head.
Wedged in the crevices.
Sort of what James calls blob art, but with the lob still in it. And well then, that other thing came to pass. Clark Coolidge was with Guston and got zapped and popped. Something like a day's work could happen. Nobody said it was going to be easy. Systems are, more or less, even when they break down. The French took
away his
Their
voice.
architectures
If you
seem to
take it
draw
out,
in
don't
the wind
think you
before
can put it
taking
back
off.
in.
They are
Though
completed
anything
by the wind.
that can be destroyed
Sound which, like
should
money,
be.
as all art
knows
exists,
no home.
beyond all its
The pigeon
definitions,
corpse
escaping
mashed
whole
into the
beyond
road.
interpretation, and surface seamlessly reknit like a Harris tweed jacket you can put a pencil through, etc.
Like everything, we fade.
Every face is
There
a
are
path
rivers everywhere.
on which we trace handholds and
Anger in
footholds.
childhood.
Richardson taught me
The
The
finest
finest
mouths
mouths
seem
seem to be scars of life.
But there is no. The heart
Is a type
where
of
the
shell
devil does it all
to
go.
be admitted to
Where
the
are
outer
we in its
world,
going?
where sea floor
Blinking
shells
through a corroding sun.
open and
At the
close.
end of a field, a flock
You
of
breathe
birds
with a
seen
gentle
from a train window
swooshing
as they rose,
sound
then turn
that
away,
dark.
so that they will never
On
leave
earth,
you.
there are only shadows.
They will
To
never
toss
leave
back
you.
at our banality does neither make it our own
Never
or art.
leave you.
M says to really
Never
see something stand at the
exists.
apex of shadow
Never
and look
extend themselves in flight into that disappearing point you sense is the true center of the senses.
Rue de Templa at the corner of Rue Rambuteau, sitting in the sun at last. A beautiful woman toting a vacuum cleaner, passing, glancing, smiling at me. How
Okay.
nice to be in Paris.
I'm
in
waiting.
the sun, with the leffe beer, waiting for food, with the morning used and nothing to do but go to Shakespeare and hunt up a Paul-in-Aire's apartment. A woman is drinking an emerald-colored drink in tall glass, reminding me of absinthe, the insidious green liquor, reputed
pass
to have driven
through
7 out of
air.
every 1,000 Frenchmen to the madhouse, which turns gray in ice, but is probably Pernod, its cousin.
Words are
You eat a
relations
croque monsieur
between the
with
observer
mustard.
and the
Love
observer.
lingers,
So
even
you
when
can see
disembodied.
through yourself, pressing
Pigeons walk
light
at my
between the
feet.
words
A
at the
man walks
glimmer.
past, talking to himself. I hear a harmonica someplace.
Though
It
Entrance
is
to the
10
way you
9,
are,
and I've already
crouched
eaten
in front of
2
a
meals.
mirror.
Put some champagne on ice, troop through the Pompidou, and have been smiled at. There is a triad of Americans seated by me, talking about art, one of whom is a magazine writer. We are all fortune hunters, finding value in different manners. I've been thinking a lot about Jan
Love is still possible
DiVincenzo.
for a gift. Americans are full of money and
His long, elegant
condoms.
body,
Mr.
the vulnerable
French
dome of his
gold.
brain, inventive
His hair is
passman.
old
A tough guy on a
and
mission couldn't
like
let
an
anything go
architect's
unsafe.
Scale
Had to move
model.
on like a diamond.
You can't
lived here a
help
while
jerking
while his
your
fortune
legs
sold
out
out,
with a sense
And somewhat
of
his
walking
sanity,
into
though
corpse.
more than his tolerance.
Mashed into the
In point of fact,
road.
poetry is a lunatic asylum, a cult of thinking things are thinking, even ourselves, and then taking on their voices to varying degrees. It is Saturday afternoon for this people. Much of what we do
Like
is
face.
bound up with money.
Like creases without a
Papers.
map,
like
like
Leave me
crisis
here.
without what we read in the gaps that extend over suns. Stands the man with the
without
mash yellow breath cupping his nuts.
The street twists toward a church, its flat roof denoting Catholic worship.
The complex situation of another year to manage. The pulleys arrange the grass mats around the door, the red car, the black dog, and blue jays. History sway in the branches of, avoiding the crows. Time, the stars
Walk across
at noon.
the Seine that
The
swallowed Paul
treatment of
Celan.
one's immediate scene, the throes of remembrance,
No getting
gone
out.
to ground, to black, to
Not
ash,
getting
to
in.
flower, as a moth on the tongue, my only garden,
But
There is a rusted
curiously, at this
army.
moment, I think our
Caught.
lives are a stone
A
wall.
sheaf of wheat, shattered windows, through which
And each day another stone
Different
added on the
colored
breath,
earth
the wind that finds the
ground.
gaps, which would take up the rest of his afternoon. He'd check his horoscope, illuminating place, but now this cycle has run its course. The trap of the bulging satchel rested on his shoulder.
There is a door, half open, or glass of water. How to look at it either way.
And
A
each
vagina.
another
Daylight.
stone
Daylight
added on
streams.
the breath, the wind that finds the gaps which would take up the rest of his afternoon. He'd check his horoscope, illuminating place, but now this cycle has run its course. The strap of time, bulging satchel, rested on his shoulder.
I'm waiting.
Philosophy, finally, is what we
Company
breathe.
is a
stems,
second-hand store,
flowers,
two or
Shakespeare and
three
Company
doors,
is a
sagging
second-hand
shelves,
store,
and
two or
neat,
three doors,
odd
Company has a
places,
beat
shelves,
second-hand
stuffy and
store.
ratty
in
dirty
odd
rugs.
places, stuffy and ratty,
Memorabilia.
dirty rugs,
Though
memorabilia,
nothing
though
visible,
not
right at home.
invisible, right at home, oddly more American than America.
Embarrassing poetry collections.
Here a carved hooded figure appears.
Blue,
There a
You're a
woman
woman.
black,
knits a beef
shadows.
shank.
That
Blue-black shadows that
The broken flowers from them also
one crazed
die
man
in it.
walks, hands splayed into a cloud of exhaust.
Philosophy finally.
They rise out of the ground
philosophy finally is
to
what we
pound the
breathe.
streets.
The stems, the flowers
sometimes
broken
from
from
them
them
Splash like
also
vomit
die
to
the gutter.
in philosophy
The
finally.
stems, the flowers broken, from them also die.
It is impossible to get drunk in Paris, or it is impossible not to, like a broken nose. Of course, French women are beautiful. Knowledge, same root. Passing and
Contemplate
pressing the leaves of
the
a
burger
rose into a book.
pipe.
This one that is bright red colored, Clairefontaine. In the bottom right-hand
We are
corner,
involved with so much.
the image of a woman's head with a curious mane beside a lamppost,
All the cathedrals
inside a
of France
triangle pointing
are
down.
folded like bats
Olympics are on.
into the
And
light.
3 men and 1 blonde boy are pressed.
The finest mouths seem
Where
to be scars
piss
of a
has
life.
cracked the old linoleum tile is where I
Where
lie
piss has
under the
cracked
fluorescent strip.
the old linoleum
Agony
tile
of music.
is where I
The
lie under the
harmonica,
fluorescent
the
strip.
fingers held to the mouth
agony of
Two-lip, the
without
television.
the
Their
harmonica,
faces covered
like
in
a
sweat.
comedian
Where piss has
without
cracked
a
the old
How much
linoleum
of all
tile
this will I be able to read?
is where I lie under
Later.
the fluorescent strip.
Waiters
and
in
the
Paris
agony of
are the
music.
Olympic
For no
athletes
fly
with
can
bald
enter a
spots
mind that's
wearing
shut.
white shirts and sometimes vests, hustling between tables bearing money and freight. I may go
If you
insane,
look
and
too
then I will
long
have
and
a
hard
new
at the
brain.
American flag, you will go mad.
I may never go to Rome. You don't tip waiters in Paris unless you're Proust or Juice.
How simple,
A poem is.
And how?
needed.
Words are lesions between the observer and the observed.
Some clown working the crowd in a white jacket, poking his head in a jar here, now stopping traffic with a camera on him, entertaining strangers.
The heads of the children
That
brooding
woman
in the
has got an
splash
arrow
sites
through her arm.
who knew that
So
they
that
were
pole is made of iron,
naked, sent forth
in
into
the
the
dress
dark.
with huge false breasts, incense. So that answers your question, how we will get out. Through her neck, each leg held up on one side by crutches and a chain on the other from cutting. Her naked body trembling, crossing in front of Hotel de Ville again. Her deep silence fell away like the walls of a subterranean cave. Is there any other? Curved wet with water where moss would grow. If if there were light, but there is no light, and I cannot see but feel cool wind passing not out and in, and hear the clerk at a clothes store advising me to live at the edge like a lion or orchid.
So you can see through yourself,
Diamonds,
pressing light
glimmer,
between the words, what is
glisten.
beyond them at the entrance to the word vagina.
Like an idea,
As the
shaped
world
and are
like a door
as vast
out
as the
which
we
horse-sized
must
bug
form.
eyes,
shaped like a
glued to the
door,
ceiling.
which we must form.
like an idea shaped like a door, which we must form.
In my head, into a series of mushroom-shaped days. Lovers across Paris shake cigarette ash out of their hair. Paris is in love with itself, its own
Paris is in
reflection.
love with
is
itself.
The crooked
Like most
People, tops of buildings, a man wearing a black coat, led by a blind dog, moving before dawn, a shadow along the walls of the stark medieval town, the narrow tilted alleys of exposed beams, the consequences of the transubstantiation of the crow to the rugged dandelion shape. As the wave fell off, rounded on the sides, smooth as a pebble or a snore, the concrete words on lips like lice, the light large windows of the cafes warming the streets. Twilight, the first part of an 8-part series concerning narrative mulch occurring on each breath. All these ifs reminding one it is a full moon, and all the women of childbearing age are rubbing their abdomens. It's not even noon, and I have borne the sky on my back and on my face and visited
The house flies
Notre
by,
Dame, plunged my
glued
hand in
in
sand,
vast
and talked to more than one stranger, more than one
The house
word.
flies
And now I am
bug-eyes
waiting for
glued
Flo
to
to
vast
return from her mourning,
ebullient.
and we'll have that too.
Something is being born, and something is being dead also.
In the kitchen at Flo's bro, Phillips having a smoke and writing, can't understand anybody but a few, and there's a food here, and there's food everywhere, huge atavistic French meal with 6 children bouncing and crawling and reaching all of us now and again. There seems to be a lull. Anne and Arlette come in. An
sound
electric alarm
cratered
in the airway
landscape.
below. Sounds and the roof is not caving in. Only this alarm. Nobody is there to stop.
The sudden is always that, encased,
Trying to understand
separate
everything
until you take
anyway.
your breath away. Though change, the way you
Confusion
are
is
crouched.
people.
Confusion
a
is
mirror,
also the clarity
disappearing
one
point
achieves through this
you
greater
sense
than that
is
of deaf mute. But language too pervades beyond words, innate, and perhaps the one we construe only a shadow of love. Remember,
Matrix like
a
a
shadow
shadow of the real. Beyond all these windows, lives. Beyond all these lives, windows.
it is the full moon, and all the women of Earth of childbearing age are having their period.
Though with brittle edge of early fall, but by 12 it should be decently so. Breakfast below, poplar trees of Rue d'Archive, pushed up to narrow tables, to croissant and black coffee. Sunday morning, children experimenting with gravity, not the emotion, but the energy against their internal spring.
The
Let's put up
universe
a banner.
is a series
Sell this thing.
of syllables, words, sentences, phonies.
Well, it's not very warm at all. And ex-armed people sit outside, and we are a long table. 20, the whole clan. And the children running in the street, periodically going too far, crying, and then comforted, rushing back out.
For without the Father, there is no tunnel. For with their Father, there is no tunnel. For without the tunnel, there is no light to spill over the music marked in 3 places. I was asleep then all of it shot up, and there was glass. The pigeon corpse mashed into the road. The distance indeterminate mixed with cannon fire.
Pieces of the real
Pieces
clashing.
of the real, clashing with meshes of
distraction that are also real.
And
Went to
that's what
Victor
gets
Hugo's
that's what
apartment.
gets you.
Everything is.
As the meat
Whether
flies
you are there
about,
or not to receive them.
we go
The
about.
expressions
like no
to which expressions
play some
The
part.
enemy is still out
walking
of
in
sight.
glass bottom slippers,
Along the
Exactly.
road,
A
idiot,
big piece of
stick
rock.
figure
in a black coat
in
in
the
the
sunlight.
When
And
you are
its
in
head
the thing,
exposed,
there is no
having thoughts,
doubt.
Making
you to be
you brave like a slave,
No wrong.
turning a lathe in the
When
scathing
you are
blood
not
showers in the man paradigm. But who would be interested in the universe if I were driving?
He wasn't home.
Saint Julien de Pauve was my grandmother's
to a
favorite
T.
church.
Take a left
She was
to the
right.
river,
It is
stopping
plain,
at the bank like
and
an
none of the
intelligent
glass is
person.
stained.
The beginning
Observe
of
the
all
old
is the
mainframe.
beginning
The
of
beginning
what
of all
With
is the
little
beginning
reverie
of what
and
can be.
sentimentality.
Can be
the
only
Eiffel
all
Tower with
measured
its
in
point
parts.
barely
and
visible.
parsed as
As
time.
time
A poster
is
of
only
Malcolm
the
Why
X
write
choosing
about
not to
Into the
throw my
honeycomb
butts
of
in the
the
Like
gutter.
the
ether.
halo,
An inner
Holocaust.
versus outer
Stay
dark.
here
Sneaker.
stroking the one
Why write about Proust
can feel
like the
absolutely
Holocaust?
even when in a
Stay
storm,
here,
only
stroking
when the heart
the
like a
throat
net spreads
flower
in front of a
blushing to its
hand
roots,
that
when
hovers
all
over
the
a
stains
breast.
are the
Everything is
same.
wind,
Precipice
Muddy
culture,
yellow
of which
ditch,
small birds
water,
stir, fanning
factory,
a small
boxes.
breeze
Why
and
write
cloud
at all?
culture,
becomes
The
patience.
face in the
impressionable
sun disk.
desire more
Who
than
thought
no
he
such
was
thing.
God?
which has no outer
Just another
form.
politician dressed up in
Closes
savage, foppish
inside
clothes.
itself at once in two.
With
The first
listen
that
to
hygiene
breaks
and a
into
mind that
desire
dragged him like a
understand
jellyfish.
this
is a seed, I
The
think,
long mind to get into
the
the
shell.
room.
to be along.
The
Can I understand it?
Comes down out of
The
my
glass
hair.
pyramids over the
tendril
emptiness.
of strong impulse bears white, smooth shine on which is written, ancestors
waiting.
are like sewage systems. The glass pyramids over the emptiness.
Love is simple, still. Love is
Visited
still
Apollinaires
possible
apartment building,
for a gift
the house of
few.
the
Pink
centaur.
sky,
Stood the
flats,
sun
Charles de Gaulle
at our backs,
is an
journey
arrow.
or
to our
away.
left,
So Christ, an
and to our
airplane,
front,
like
and on our
Jonathan
right, looking
Richard,
up,
without his
With a
looking
shirt.
down,
start
Flo
as
found
the
a tiny
electrodes.
nut with a
Americans
wire
are full of
coil.
money and condoms. The French boo.
When he took
The
out,
land is
he
old
took
and
with
miniature,
him
like an
little
architect's
he could
scale model. You
carry,
can't help jerking your legs
touch.
up or the sense
wears a
of
pink
walking
shirt.
barefoot.
Sun falls, swoon across flat green plains.
Sudden shining
Her body
light
under mine,
as
her
we
eyes.
sweep onto the street.
For some things,
It
why
is
Snows
just like
collected
ancient times
into
when the
her
names of people were affixed to cities.
for some
armpits.
things widen.
As one has a life in one,
Places.
and vice versa,
Others
contrary
is
to the
lighter
notion
than
that
dust,
it is
so
heavy,
that it
Only
cold,
which allows
traces
or
for a
disembodied.
sentence.
with each jerk,
the city needs
the wind that explodes.
For a
sustains each
to
individual hue.
accrue there before
across
being
these rooftops,
crushed,
attached, Come see, I still have it.
How simple a poem is, and how needed. Words are lesions between the observer and the observed.
The Cathedral of Notre Dame does not
They
exist.
rise out of the ground.
Only its bells,
To
only
pound
Disney exist, only the
streets.
monster,
Pour,
Esmeralda,
though sometimes
exists.
spill,
Who we saw
Splash like
crossing
vomit
sand,
into a
Sex.
gutter in
pointed
Montmartre.
out,
Food is sex. Force.
and
They rise out of the ground
in the
Transactional.
to pound the streets.
and the blanched stone
Pour,
of the
though
houses
sometimes
of the
spill,
names of
What is that
splash
doing?
like vomit into a gutter
like
in
an
Montmartre.
insane person.
Tube running down. That
Decals
which
posted
will not change.
on his frontal
rise.
lobe, the dimples
The seam
in the
between.
cheeks of
Out of the
Shirley
ground.
Temple.
That which will
To
not
pound
change.
the
Last
streets.
seen in a video.
Pour, though sometimes spill,
Speak.
Between walls.
splash like
between
vomit
windows.
into a gutter in Montmartre.
Kill that which dies, the will.
Like a string of zeros at the
At a
end,
certain point, walk
when
away.
you are alone, which we never are. Only the mind alone can be, ergo no. Only its bells. At a certain
away.
point, walk away.
Went to George T's. Which bit?
Snow's
But nice
collected.
thing. If you're 18,
simple.
In her armpits, in
offered a week
Love
in
is
his
still
snow
fourth
that is
floor apartment.
For a gifted
Declined.
few.
Lighter
and set
than
up
dust.
Eric from Seattle, who was 18.
Blonde, wavy.
so that
George
it
struck me as a
traces
stalwart
with each
speed
jerk.
retired
The
after
wind
all
that
the stripe of
explodes.
glittery,
20 minutes into
swirling
Paris.
bit of saint, to put up with all the dead beats.
Experiencing that
And he
moment,
dresses like one.
definite
maybe
impression. Our
in his
minds are
heart
shaped like vaginas.
Of hearts is.
When the Baroque was invented,
Past
figures
is some
could
gaping
fall
hole,
out of the
set off
sky
by a
and
floodlight.
existed.
Only with a full breath can you dive deep.
The land is old and miniature.
The past is some
like
gaping
an
hole,
architect's scale
set off by a
model.
floodlight.
You
Something
can't
on the red
help
wall of
jerking
life
your
of
legs
an animal
up
is
with a sense
nothing.
of
To
walking
human, one
barefoot
playing
across
games
as the
with the
mower
thing,
sweeps
the mind.
below. But why can't we screw on the fresh lawn?
Have to work with and what works.
A life of sacrifice. Bach on the Dome de Marie organ. The doors swung open into the evening, into me.
Because I
Because I
saw a Ferris
wheel.
and saw
Saw
that
that
half
half
the
possible.
wheel
If you
if
are
Two
on
your
your
children
back.
cling
You
so
are on it.
free me,
Buried
my
in
former
snow.
self, and the woman running
Is burned
also.
in the
Old
skull.
man, I will be sitting
I
in
saw
a
a
green
Ferris
chair
wheel.
in the gray Tuileries.
Head, one
Because
hand,
we
and
are.
his
saw
hip
that half the
of an
wheel,
animal.
And gulls
if
that
you are on
spots
it,
that does not spout
is
Woman
buried in
encircled
the
by
snow.
stories like
The skull is
hounds.
called comedy.
On her back, leave,
Woman,
and then
dagger.
walk head,
Clings must be
one hand at
Athena.
his hip of an animal in chains. More madmen, more science. The Ferris wheel. Where's the cigarette? I'm trying to trace, burning a hole into my face. Life is a long feud.
And the circle
All
To the
these
tranquility
pictures set around
into
the
the sky in
fountain, like the
Paris.
hours of a day that I would
Like the
like
world
to
is
say,
round,
will
cyclical.
never the sky again, as
What
the
do you
color on
want?
the ceiling.
Let's go around again.
Now you know where they
Some
got it.
sense of how it is. What you don't see the first time
Leave the
around,
clock.
you might see the next.
At the stage
How could they have
edge.
seen
Now
how
you
it
know.
would be?
And then walk back into the scene. Red
All these
flesh
figures set around the
pit.
fountain like the hours of a day that I would like to say will never.
Now you know.
The view of the obelisk.
Obelisk.
Psyche.
I
I went into the Louvre as I knew I would.
When you go to the Louvre, enter through the Gare de Lyon. You miss the crowds through there, but first keep turning right into the court, and you will come on a perfect green circle of grass that
Okay.
you can walk on. And you
I'm
will
waiting.
see Ile-de-France, this naked woman, holding a clock behind you, walking north into some shrubs, her chest out distending, her breast and the cloth held in both hands, her right foot planted, and her left about to step. Not too handsome, but she does look French. There's a bit of a maze here. The edge is colder and darker. This will mark the passage from the reflection into the light, which must be indicated in the layout. You
Her
can
clitoris
crash through the brush
was
to get
vibrant.
out.
Our lesions.
And
wet,
see, there are a couple of
pink, where I
condoms used
touched my
naturally.
tongue.
So you can see through
Moving
I
yourself.
see that they've
Present
opened the
light,
Delacroix
certain
Gallery,
words
movement,
at the
and you can
glimmer.
see
lights.
Jericho's raft, up which is really great stuff.
Entrance to the
The
glisten.
same boat we're all in. Except, of course, it doesn't make sense. Is the point going out, or are we going in? But odd and interesting to see the raft against the Liberty painting. Similar scale and triangulation to it. Liberty climbing up on the backs of the dead.
Love
The
is still
stunned man of the
possible
top hat.
for a gift.
The
Americans
top hat,
are
the
full
bared
of money
breasts.
and condoms.
Delacroix did a
It's
lot of
just
bare
French
breasts.
gold.
The sun
sun
had
is
broken
broken
through
clouds.
the clouds.
Architects
Every
scale
painting worth
model.
its salt is a
Richmond.
finger
You
pointing
Can't
up.
help jerking
And
or
your
somewhere
legs up
else.
with the sound
Sometimes
of
at
walking
you.
barefoot.
Shown through.
And the winged victory of Sam Truitt, always nice
The
and
bit of
hard to
rose
miss,
in the stone.
on her boat of stone
Shown.
at the head of the stairs, without arms or a head, just wings, but just enough, and a nice belly button too.
I spent some time watching people, watching David's Mona Lisa, wondering what they saw there.
Like a red balloon emerging out of a toilet, a woman with a page of music open on her lap, lip syncs gesturing with her hand. Left is where my broken pinky is, the ancient water breathing out of outer space. This book consists of
The best way to get a really close and central view of it is in a wheelchair.
Her voice sank already, mostly involved with reading my back to the future, the shacks, the heaps of broken house frames and plaster they set up for the photo shoot along the canal. Haven't we been here before? Each apartment equipped with a satellite dish throwing up. I want to apply myself to the problem. Deaf woman, parking lighter, and a keychain. Her yellow card on her chain. She must make a killing off offloading change on the way to the airport. Better to be deaf than blind. Better to be light than dark. Better to have roof than noose or legs to set out into morning. A golden goose in it. No more than an execution to leave Paris, France. But if I never come, I could never leave. Pick the bits of moisture out of my eyes. Though it would be weird to live all the way out here. People gather, people ramble along. We are all fragments of song. I watch a woman watching a woman holding a child. Maybe she is thinking she will have one of her own. If a man gets together, builds a fire as we enter the tunnel. The examination along through the night, like a dream, everything was pulled from under and laid out on the bed. Even our feet were not spared, and our terrors spread the mirror, allowing well. It could have been before the electrodes. A short period of light, everything absorbed into azure sky, even my lassitude.
Words come to
And
meet
then
us.
when
To see
wind
myself
and
as I
rain
am,
dashed
like the floor
into a
plan of
cafe
the
at Rue
Louvre, this
Tempel,
intricately detailed map of good and evil, up and down, and a few levels scattered under 100, some acres of ground as we enter the tunnel.
the
Hard to
specificity,
see
the
the whole thing in a
definiteness,
day.
unerring drops, to put a large white circle
All
of
the
paper
frozen
out
figures.
becomes a map of the sky that is the point of this moment.
Her soft,
If it were not
luxurious
so
spanning,
large a one,
pink, white,
The whole Earth,
the
in a
sky,
sense, is a large
like a
white
tear.
circle, the target to which is
No
also
image
this
inside
moment,
me.
as its center,
No image
but really
inside.
not handsome,
No
nevertheless
despair.
equally striking Moroccan woman. To my left,
The
the
surface
oddball
of the
clutch
street.
of young Parisians. To my right, the enormous illuminated clock face behind the bar.
White with black lettering, been here 11 minutes, and music, and wee points of light, leading back into interior where mirrors line the wall, and keep going. Beauty is a place to start. It might not be the end. It may not even keep going. It lights on one like a bird of sorts, and without even that many colors to its wings. It lights a while, to then again take flight, expand into the sky it came from.
words come to meet us, so we them return to see myself as I am,
like the floor plan of the Louvre, this intricately detailed map of good and evil, up and down, and a few levels scattered under 100 some acres of ground. As we enter the tunnel, hard to see the whole thing in a day. All the frozen figures, their soft, luxurious fanning, pink, white, the sky like a tear. No image inside, no despair. The surfaces of the street, and them of the feet. Different meeting and parting, people ahead, full of arrows, most of what I am, as we enter the tunnel, taking the air, completely unknown, a complete unknown, minding my itches. I am not so sure what there is to uncover, stomach like concrete, smashed bits floating in antifreeze, tucking the wires away as we enter the tunnel, long abandoned, a lot of things, decades of life, and story activity, leading on and leading back where we say we come from. We are going less pain than there was clutch, no looking and wondering what it is all about. As we enter the tunnel, the pants cinched to the waist, all the yapping and yearning to feel a little free, voices a pinpoint, straining to see.
Everything appearing, trying, everything appearing fast, trying, even people are trying, even women.